If it is or if it ain't, it's gonna come out. Good morning, everybody. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you are listening to God, Sex, and Love. You're that little some inspiration, juice. It is September the 9th, 2022, and today the topic is The Man in the Mirror. Happy Friday, y'all. Happy Friday. I hope that you all had a great day yesterday. Mine was just fine. Um, Again, it feels like another week just flew by, and Friday is here. Um, I do need to go ahead and shout out that's, with Fridays, we have GSL, the talk show. And so tonight we're supposed to have Miss Genesis Amaris Kemp visiting us on the talk show tonight. Her episode will be airing at 7 p.m. if the Lord's will. And so, yeah, I know she's a podcaster, an author, has an awesome testimony about being in corporate America and I guess her transition out and all these different things. So, yeah, be on the lookout for that, y'all, tonight at 7 p.m. Well, I'm sure you all know, but obviously we need to acknowledge that Queen Elizabeth II passed yesterday, or, it was reported that she has passed on yesterday. Um, and well, according to the little bit of research I did about her this morning, it says that she is the longest reigning British monarch. She reigned for 70 years and 214 days. Uh, that is quite an achievement. It's, quite a long time to be reigning in a country, everything like that. Say that she's 96 years old and everything like that. I mean, obviously, y'all don't know what y'all feel or see when y'all hear me talking about this and whatnot. I mean, I don't know the lady personally. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's probably one of the issues when it comes to like anybody, but definitely public figures and you know um, mainstream media type people. It's like um, we don't know this lady, and everything like that. Hopefully, with her 70 years of reigning and everything like that, she did good, right, and not evil. Um, we hope and pray. But I guess nobody really knows, right? But her country and her family and uh, all of that, and so and the Lord, right, and the Lord, and so I know that I was actually on the phone with my mother when I guess she got the news, and then in turn gave me the news, and I know she brought up something that she had heard about, this particular queen and whatnot, something that she may have done allegedly. Um, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've heard things since being on this journey since 2020, since perusing the rabbit hole a little bit and being red pilled, as they say, um, and whatnot. So again, there's no way for me to know, you know, but hey, I guess we'll see, when it's our time and and everything like that. But regardless, obviously, to her family and to the country and everything like that, those that are mourning and everything, obviously we, another life is gone and everything. So just wanted to acknowledge that yes, I heard about that and that's something that just happened. Um, and I acknowledge that I, received that information. But anyway, because again, that can go long and they can go on, on and on and stuff. I will move on and start talking about this topic for today: the man in the mirror, in the mirror. Um, well, basically this morning, well, I guess no one. Okay, so yesterday, if I touch on that for a moment, um, I had several significant conversations again, yesterday. Again, I just told you all I talked to my mom, so we were talking, and then I talked to a good friend Summer that I was telling you all about, and we were having a great conversation, and I want to say I had a couple more conversations yesterday, um, and everything like that that I would say is significant. Um, but I think as I was talking to Summer, that is one of the things that kind of leads me to today's topic, as well as I would say the prayer meditation this morning, even though I don't necessarily remember the details to tell y'all about it at this morning. So I don't know if y'all be following along with me and listening to the Soul Space app too, but um, yeah, I mean that's literally. I mean, I'm sure if you listen to it on the same day that I'm listening to it, then you guys are gonna get the same message that I get with that. So if you are curious about like the different prayer meditations and things that I'm listening to beforehand, then I mean, hey, listen along with me. I'm not being sponsored by them or anything. I'm just sharing that. Again, I've been using that app ever since I began, and it definitely helps me to transition from like waking up and all of that, and to calming myself down to get my mind focused on the Lord and the task at hand. And again, sometimes I'm distracted and all of that, but for the most part, it's a good buffer and whatnot in the mornings before I start to look up verses and stuff. And so, yeah, if that's important to your Bible study experience, then by all means, check out that app. It's been great. They have a new message every time, every day. Um, and yeah, it's been a good addition to my personal studies. But anyway, um, yeah, I think the conversation again with Summer yesterday, and then what I was reflecting on with the prayer meditation this morning, kind of led me to this topic of man in the mirror, um, and how important it is for us to be reflections of Christ, to be Christ-like, and all of that. Yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, obviously, again, you might be the only, you know, Jesus that somebody encounters, right? You might be the only person to truly reflect Christ to people in a way where it, draws them in and nearer to God. I think I know for sure at one point in the conversation that I had with Ms. Summer, I was telling her, well, what had came into my heart and mind during the conversation is that basically, that is a way that we can know, right, the fruit, or know what type of person we're dealing with. Like, is this person leading me to Christ, or is this person leading me away from Christ? Um, and things like that. And so, is this person a reflection of Christ? And now, again, we all are, humans and whatnot. And so, Christ was the only perfect human, right? The one that didn't sin and all of that. Um, and I think it's important because it's not that he didn't do or say things that are quote unquote questionable, depending on again your perspective and your mindset. I know I shared I don't know, a few weeks ago about like how, for example, what he said to the woman about uh, not casting, you know, the the blessings, whatever the case is, it would be like doing casting it to a dog to I guess give it to her or whatever the case was, and how that woman didn't get offended by that. When especially these days we so easily offended by everything. Somebody could not even be saying anything offensive to you. Somebody could be giving you a compliment. That's literally something that I've happened. I'm giving somebody a compliment and they were offended, or they were like, um, they just couldn't receive the compliment or whatever the case was, and that's a whole other thing by itself. But anyway, it's important for us to be, reflections of Christ, and as Christ like as we can be. Try at least is what it. I guess what I'm receiving today, and so let's get into these verses. Let's get into these verses. So Galatians 2:20 says, "I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me." How deep is that? How deep is that to kind of take on this mindset? Um, yeah, again, I know I say the phrase like next level thinking and all of that type of thing. It's like if we can take on that type of mindset, I think we'll be on the right track and in a better place when it comes to becoming Christ-like, right? Because then we understand that, okay, whoever I was before Christ is gone. Like, that person is gone. It's from here on out. It needs to be what people need to see when they see me is Christ, right? Um, and everything like that. Now again, I mean, how can I say? Yeah, I mean, let's just leave it at that. Yeah, when someone sees you, they need to be seeing Christ. If you call yourself a believer, right? If you call yourself a follower of Christ, if you call yourself, especially, right? If you are in a leadership position, right? But that's a whole other thing. It's a whole other thing. But even if you're not in a leadership position, even if you are a follower, even if you are a new Christian, whatever the case is, if you're going to be a believer, right? People need to see Christ in you, right? Reflected in your life, towards them and towards everyone. So, because that's one of the things that builds and draws as well. You know, how can I say, like, and so I think, and one of the things that crossed my mind this morning, because on one hand I was thinking about doing it, but on the other hand I'm thinking it might just need to be a totally different experience. That we all probably need to just deep dive right into what Christ did, what he did, what he said, and that should give us an idea of how we should be living, right, and how we should be doing things and treating people and everything like that. Because again, like there was definitely a balance, right? It wasn't like, oh, so far leaning on one side, like so far leaning on like goodness, niceness, and da 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 da, and not and no, you know, addressing issues and things like that. You know what I mean? There was, how can I say, like, I guess in the first encounter, right, with him first coming, because again, when he comes back, it's going to be a totally different experience from what I'm understanding. But the first experience, right, wasn't anything like judgment. It wasn't anything like condemning and all of that type of thing. From what I'm understanding and gathering now, that's why I say we need to go into a deep dive and probably a deep study. All of us, me too included. Like, we need to just kind of really tackle what the word is saying that he did and said, and how he treated people and all those different things. Because I guess I'm saying all this to say that basically, it was balanced. It was balanced. Like, things got addressed, right? He called things out, right? He addressed sin. He, made people aware of hell, all these different things, right? And but he also showed grace and mercy and, forgiveness for the sins, and gave people hope and healed and all these things as well too. So it's like there's a balance there, and we need a balance as well, um, you know, and whatnot. But the start, right, is to reflect Christ and to do like this verse is saying, have this mind of the person that wrote this. Um, what they had about Christ. But anyway, I'm sure that's something to go on and on about. So let me keep going here. Let me go on to the next verse. It's 1 Corinthians 11 and 1. 11 and 1. It says, Be imitators of me as I am of Christ. Yeah, yeah. Again, long as somebody's following Christ and whatnot, and and everything like that, then hey, you might can imitate them. Now, obviously, it'd be better to imitate the original, which reminds me. Oh my goodness, so funny. A long story short, um, y'all know I'm an actor, right? I think y'all know that. Or at least that was something that I got my degree in and whatnot. In regards to this is the most me thing I've ever done in life. Y'all are probably getting to know me on a whole nother level, and everything like that. Getting to know me as an individual, but in regards to like what I did as a career goal and whatnot, is acting. So anyway, I was supposed to be making this long story short. Um, one of the I did a show once, and they wanted me to portray Diana Ross, and and so the it was very interesting because a fellow actor was like, "Oh, you should imitate this artist. This not Diana Ross, but some other artist. I don't get into who that is." He's like, "You should imitate her to be Diana Ross." However, the interesting thing is the director gave me, videos and whatnot of Diana Ross, and whatnot. He was like, study. That's what the director wanted me to study, and that made more sense to me. Like, why would I imitate the person, the other person? That person isn't Diana Ross. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get that they might be imitating Diana Ross, but that's not Diana Ross. I'm going to, right, study Diana Ross because that's who I'm portraying. I'm not portraying that other artist. I'm portraying Diana Ross. And same here. I know that sometimes we get connected to people, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, if the person is following Christ, X, Y, and Z, cool. But let's keep in our hearts and minds that, hey, this person is also a human. I can't be, trying to put this human right in Christ's place. I need to be following Christ. And so, I mean, if that's something that helps you, right, get closer to Christ, cool. But I just think, yeah, it's just very important to keep in our hearts and minds like the reality of the situation. Because again, I think that's where some of the hurt and the pain and the disappointment and all of that stuff comes from people that we uplift and people that we like think so highly of, and then come to find out, man, they're just human too. Um, and I mean, if you think like he's the only one, right, that yes was human, but then was also God, like, and therein lies the difference, and everything like that. So yeah, just a little reminder, just a little something to just keep in our back pockets so we don't, again, that we can give people grace and mercy and all of that because, um, yeah, again, yeah, sometimes we focus so much on the earthly and the physical and the people and everything like that when we need to more so focus on Christ and the spiritual and whatnot. Got one more verse, y'all. One more verse, and it's 1 John 2:6. It says, "Whoever says he abides in him ought to walk in the same way in which he walked." So there you go, y'all. I'm not saying nothing new here. I'm pretty sure I shared that verse. I want to say a few days ago. I feel like I read and or shared it. Um, and stuff when it comes to the Jews, but I mean, same the other day and today. Like, yeah, if you're gonna be again a believer, a follower, and things like that, then you need to be looking like Christ, right? That's when people see you, they need to see Christ, and that's the juice, y'all. That is the juice this morning. You guys can go deeper with the verses in the go deeper section. Peruse and let marinate on your heart, souls, and minds. The Bible verse of today is James 1:19. It says, "Wherefore, my beloved brothers, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath." Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day. And I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye bye.
This has been brought to you in part by Anointed Touch Health, Fitness, and Beauty. Eat right and exercise daily. Walk with God, run from the devil. 1 John 20:20, you have an anointing from the Holy One. Visit anointedtouch-hfb.com for more information.